In this video, I'll be going through the installation process of installing this heated steering wheel on my 2020 Camry XSE. It comes wrapped in a pretty good packaging. It's taped up all around. Nothing is escaping here. Opening up, there is a top layer of styrofoam that keeps everything nicely protected. Starting off is the wiring harness. This is the part that will connect to the new clock spring, and this connects to the clock spring, and this is for your fuse and ground, and this is the new button. This will go on the dash. Wrapped up nicely is the new clock spring. Comes in a bag. This is what it looks like. So there is a angle sensor, I believe, that goes either on the front or the back. I know a lot of people say be careful not to spin this or rotate it, but it comes locked. And then there's this inner ring that has to be pressed in before it can turn fully. So as long as you don't press that in, it should stay locked. Here is the centerpiece. This is the new steering wheel. Feels pretty nice. It's a good size. Looks like it's pretty well constructed. Some of the material is a bit loose around here. However, I'm hoping the trim piece that goes on here and on here will cover that up and hold it in place. This is the wire that will actually do the heating. And we'll see this later on when we're removing the airbags, but these clips, these pins have to be pushed out of the way. So when you're trying to remove the airbag, you're basically trying to push this up to allow the airbag to be removed. So it's one on the bottom, one on here, and one here. And that is all that comes in the packaging. There is no instruction. Before we get started, we want to make sure our wheel is absolutely straight. That way it'll be easier to put on the new wheel. And then I adjusted my seat so that it's a comfortable seating position. Next step is to disconnect the negative terminal on the battery before you start working on anything. To disconnect the battery, I used a 12mm wrench to loosen this back bolt here, because I was trying to get this one loose. It came loose, but I couldn't get this off the terminal, so I loosened this, and there are two cables that were disconnected. So just tuck those off to the side. With the battery disconnected, the next job is to remove the airbag. There's going to be 3 pins that are holding it in place. One of the pins can be accessed from here. There's another one underneath right over here. And there is a third one right over here. For the bottom one, my strategy is to use a 1/8 Allen key. It fits just right into the slot. So my strategy is to go at an angle towards the front of the car, go all the way up, then tilt back, and pull down until I hear a click, and then push up. After some fiddling, I was able to get the bottom one. Now you can see it's popped out. So just keep at it and get the other 2. So I just got the third one out. Now you can pull the airbag out. It's being held in by these 3. 1, 2, and 3. And there are 2 cables connecting it. To disconnect these, there's this orange tab. Pop that up, both sides, and then this connector is supposed to come off. That's 1, that's 2. So note that they are color coded. There's a blue one connecting to the blue and black connecting to the black. The ground, I think you just pull that off. For this white connector, I had to get my pick inside into the middle here and push it backwards and then pull it out. So when you're trying to disconnect the airbag, it's at about an angle like this that you have to go, and you have to aim to hit this right here. You can see where my Allen key just came out, but that's what you're aiming to hit. You push that sideways and then it releases it from there. It's the same idea on this side. From the bottom, when you go in, I try to go towards the hood of the car, come towards the back, pull down until you hear that click, and then push up. The next step before removing the steering wheel is to disconnect these two cables. This one here and that one there. There's a tab right there. You push that down and pull it out. Same thing with this one. So that one's out. That one's out as well. So now that those two are clear, we should be able to take a 10mm hex and remove this bolt. Removing this bolt is a pain in the behind. I had to take this from my jack, it's the handle, put it on the end, and that was finally enough torque to break it free. That is a massive bolt. That is the steering wheel. Next step, they say rock it back and forth. And this comes straight out. Feeding the airbag cables back out. Here we go. One steering wheel removed. We have to transfer everything from the old wheel to the new one. I'm going to start off by trying to remove this trim panel here. So it took quite a bit of force, like a lot more than I was really willing to do, but it came out eventually. I think it's just held in by this one plug here that goes into that hole right there. So you really gotta give it a good tug to get out. Now that I finally got this out, I will say you have to pull with the force that you think you're gonna break it with before it actually comes out. There's plug here, here, and then an alignment plug there and there that's holding in place, but it is very, very secure. So this is out now. I have to remove 2 screws. I think that's to get the pedal shifters off. And then this back trim piece has to be transferred as well. It looks like it's being held in by this and that. And there's 2 alignment plugs here. To get this back trim piece off, you have to squeeze this together and push it out. Together and out. And that comes off. So now your steering wheel is completely dismantled. Now let's put everything back together. This trim piece has these 2 hooks here and here that has to line up with these 2 spots. So we'll start with that piece first. So you have to get this bottom piece in, then clip in one side, align and clip in the other side. Otherwise it all kind of just flops around. So with that lined up back in place, we can put the pedal shifters back in. You can reuse the same bolts. So for this part, I'm not going to install it just yet. I'm going to wait until the wheel is back in the car before installing it. Just because this is such a pain in the butt to take out, just in case I need to take it out again. But test fitting it it does look like it will be a nice fit. All the loose bits of fabric will be nicely covered up. Paddle shifters are back in place. And I'm saying this is looking pretty good so far. Now we need to get to the clock spring, which is in here. To do that, we need to remove this top and bottom trim piece. There is 1 screw, 2 screw, and this 3rd screw under here. With those screws removed, in theory, this should come apart. I mean, it is loose. I guess there's some clips holding it in place. So there's a clip here, here. That's what's keeping it together. This one you don't really need to take out, it's fine just leaving it there. Before we remove the clock spring, there are a number of cables we have to remove. There is 1, 2, 3 cables. The clock spring itself, there is a clip or a thing at the top here. There is a red retaining clip here, and on this side there's another red retaining clip there. So give it a good pull and it should come right out. With this cable, you just pull this tab all the way down. That comes off. Side one. There's a tab in the front. Squeeze it and pull it out. For this one, there's a tab on this side. Squeeze and pull down. Okay, let's pull this out. And then disconnect it. So this is almost out. This back one, there is a little tab. So the clock spring is out. What you missed was this cable. There's a clip on the back. You have to squeeze that and pull pretty hard. So to summarize, it's being held in by these 2 clips. These you just have to pull out. This one, you have to lift it up in order to dislodge this from the back here. So there is 1, 2, 3 cables that have to be disconnected. Now that the clock spring is out, it is locked in place, so you don't have to worry about it moving around. Now with this out, we have to transfer this. I believe it's a steering wheel angle sensor or something. The new clock spring does not have this component, so that has to be swapped over. Looking at the clock springs, this one is the original. This component has to be transferred over. Looking at the other one, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 clips that is being held in place with. So those are the ones that we have to disengage. So 1 at the side here, 1 here, here, and on the edge, and this just comes off and separates. Taking the new clock spring, place it right over, snaps in place. Looking at it, this is the new connector for the heated steering wheel, and then those are all the existing ones. So now to put this back, do everything in reverse. Before I connect it in place like that, I want to connect this cable because it was quite difficult. Connect that back up and then slide this cable back onto its bracket. Sliding that above where it has to go. This one is going to take quite a bit of force, so it's a 2-hander. This one goes back in there. This clips back in place. Sounds a little scary, but it's in there. I missed recording the step of how I got to here, but to get access to this, first you have to pry this off. Then there's this trim piece. You grab it with both hands and pull straight out. With that out, it will allow you to pull this forward and get this out. There are two bolts, one at the bottom here and one over there that you might need to remove, but I was able to get this mostly off without removing it. Now that we have access to the switches, we have to remove one of the blank plates. I'm going to choose to install it right here. And to get out this blanking switch, I'm going to take a pick, and I think I have to squeeze in on both sides to get that to pop out. I can confirm it is a two-hand operation. You have to squeeze in on both sides at the same time in order for it to pop out. Here we have the new switch that's a part of the kit. We have to remove this, install it there, and then connect this back. So to remove it, you press the green tab and you pull it apart. I'm going to install it in this orientation. Then I'm just going to push it in. There we go, got our new switch. Now this, here is your connection for the fuse box. This is connection to the back of the switch. And this will connect into the clock spring. So let's route that. There's already a bundle of wires here. I'll probably grab some zip ties and tie that all in. But we're gonna connect that right here. Let's connect our switch cable. This is for your fuse connection. For the ground point, the screw that we took off at the bottom here, it looks like it's a nice spot with a bare metal where we can connect to. Right behind this bolt, there is this plastic panel, a tab for this plastic panel, a tab for this plastic panel, and then there's metal. So I put it behind those two tabs, in between the tab and the metal. So that should be a good connection there. With those connections made, we can button everything back up. So that just pushes back in place. This, a good smack. And this trim piece, let's line it back up, push it in. That is in place. This is the cable for the heated steering wheel. So as I mentioned, I did put a couple zip ties just to hold it in place. So there's one here and one at the back there. Now we can start putting things back in place. There we go. And then there's 1, 2, 3 screws. We are now at the step where we can put the steering wheel back in. So just make sure this cable, this is the one for the paddle shifters. Make sure that this is in. This is for your heated steering wheel. Make sure that's accessible. These are the airbag connectors. Slide those in. Your heated steering wheel connection. Slide that in as well. And make sure you insert the wheel at the same angle that you took it out at. If it was slightly angled, either way, make sure you replicate that. So I know when I took mine out, it was dead centered. So put that back in just like that. There we go. Just remember, before you put the steering wheel bolt back in, there was thread locker on it from the factory. So make sure to put a bit on before you reinstall it. So I'm just gonna put it on. Whoa, a little dab. Just remember, you have to torque this down to foot-pounds. Now that we have the steering wheel bolt back in, I think it's time to put this trim back. For me, I put the screws in the new steering wheel just as a placeholder so I wouldn't lose them. Actually, before we install this, let's connect the pedal shifter to where they gotta go. This is for your control, so that will go right in there. So let's see if I can connect this before installing it. Yeah, let's connect that. When you're installing this trim piece, make sure it is flush all around. Take a look from all sides. And this is your heated steering wheel, so these two have to be connected together. Don't forget to install these two screws here. So this is the original clock spring. You can see mine, the white and the black connector are connected together. You can see there's these clips here, and it looks like it is clipped in something like that. So you need to get these apart before you can continue. If I use a pick, I think I can get them apart. Yep, was able to get it apart. Now it's time to reinstall the airbag. There's your airbag. Let's connect this white connector to this metal strap here. Connect the ground cable. This gave me a little bit of difficulty. I had to use my pick to widen the jaws that hold it in place. It was a little bit too tight, but now that I did that, it's still pretty firm and it's held well in place. Now, the final step. So for me, these connectors got pushed down, so remember to pull them up and pull this up before reconnecting. So push down and down, go black, push it down and down, then reinstall. So I'm not going to push it in all the way first. I'm going to turn the car, make sure there are no errors, and then I will connect the power for the heated steering wheel. So the car is on, everything seems to be okay. There are, if it will focus, there are no errors or lights on the dash. I would say everything went pretty well. I tested all the buttons, everything still works. Now I'm going to hook up power to the button. Alright, final update. Switch has been wired in. The wheel is starting to get warm. Just give it a few more minutes, but slight change of plan. I ended up having to wire it into the cigar lighter power. The original plan was to wire it into the stereo fuse, fuse number 8. However, that is not a switch power supply. So I had to end up wiring it into the cigar lighter adapter. So now when I turn the car off, that turns off as well. But when the car turns on, then it turns back on, so I'm not going to drain my battery. After everything's been tested, the final step is to push this back in place. So line it up till you feel like the 3 holes are lined up, and then a good tug, and then you should be good to go. Overall, I think it was a worthwhile process. It took me about 3.5 hours to install, but that involved setting up the camera, recording, finding the right angles, redoing some takes. Overall, I would say it'll probably take maybe an hour, hour and a half if you're just focused on doing what you're doing. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I can definitely try to help you out however I can.